Okay, this video is going to be on text dimensioning and measurements. It's specially made for Laurel Streeter, who was in our CAD camp, asked a question about putting measurements and dimensions and text on drawings. Whether you're doing this in 2D or 3D doesn't really matter. It does it the same way. Although in 3D you got to be careful because if you rotate your view, the text will rotate with it. So I would suggest you put this on last or use a sheet file, which is discussed in some other videos here. We'll start out by just going to our drawing menu, which is the same in both 2D and 3D. I'm just going to draw out some, I'll work in the default level to draw out some elements. We'll do a straight line. I'm going to hit my tilde key. Do an arc. We'll do a circle. We're going to do a shape. And let's see. We'll do a couple of odd lines over here. Okay. I'm going to change my color to color 3. Let's first of all talk about text. Down here is our text placement tool. We have place text, we have place note, we have edit text. We'll start with place text. Now place text, you'll notice this is set, we'll set it to 0 degrees, so it's horizontal text. I have some pre-made text styles here, but I'm going to go back to just style none, which is probably what you'd see in the basic MicroStation. If we look at this, our text height and width, now what is that? It's not pixel, it's actually related to your working units. So if we go up here to our settings, design file, working units, you'll notice we're working in inches. We'll say okay. So 1.125 height and width, they're locked together, is 1/8 of an inch text. I probably should have measured these lines, but we'll see what it looks like. So if we wanted to just place a piece of text on here, and I'll change my color to red so it shows up a little bit better, and I'll just type in all caps the word text. You don't see anything happening until you pull your mouse out. So there's 1/8 of an inch text on this line. If we want to place text that's a little bit bigger, we'll say 0.25, so this would be 1/4 inch text, and we'll change our color back to green. We'll type in text 0.25 and bring it up, and you see your text is twice as big here. So that's all it is, it's just working with it. Now there's a little drop down arrow here to expand. You can set your justification. Right now it's center center. If I change it to left center and type in left center, you'll notice that the cursor is attached to the left side of it here. And if I go to edit that text using this A to B tool, edit text, just left click, and we'll just change the name to my text and left click on the screen. It automatically adjusts it, but it keeps the anchor on the left side, which is good if you're working with title blocks and whatnot. So that's basically it on style. We do have the ability to create specific text styles. You can see I got 1/4 inch text, 1/8 inch text, 0.10 text, center justified, 0.10 left justified. All of these can be created and saved in your drawing file so that they stay with the drawing file as your seed, and it just works really well. You can set the color. If I go to 07 center justified, you'll see my text changes to red. Just when you get done with these, you have to hit this little save button so it saves that text style with it. But for now, we'll just use the style none. So now let's talk about measurements. Down here under the section D is our measurement tool. If I want to measure a distance from this point to this point, it gives me 1.522 inches, and that's fine. If I want to measure an element, this fourth tool over will give me the measurement of a particular element. Tells me it's 2.706 inches. If I measure the circle, gives me a length of that line at 6.651 inches. So it actually measured the circumference of that line. There's also, you can measure an angle between two lines. So I can say from this point to this point, it tells me it's a 57.2033 angle. Now that's 4 decimal places. If you go back to your settings, design file, working units, and your angle readout, for instance, you can see it's set to 4 decimal places. If I just want to say I want to see it at 2 decimal places, and we measure that angle again, it's going to give it to me in 2 decimal places, or it just rounds it off to the nearest tenth. You can also change that angle readout to azimuth or bearing. There it is, and you can say degrees, minutes, and seconds. So if you're doing a civil drawing, you can actually change this and look at it, this angle. Now it's 57 degrees, 12 minutes, 12.01 seconds. And if we, let's go to our settings, design file. That's just our angle readout. If we change it to azimuth, it says the same thing. So it's just an easy way to put that information in there and discover what it is anyway. So now those are our measuring tools. So I want to measure the area. This is your area measuring tool here. If I want to find out what the area of the circle is, you just left click on the edge of it and it says it's 3.52 square inches, has a perimeter of 6.61. Here's this square shape, has a 4.0186 square inches, and it's 8.256 inches on the perimeter. So it's a pretty easy tool and functional tool to use. It's set to element. We can also do it to an intersection, a union. It just has a lot of different ways to measure. So let's look at, we want to put this out and we want to dimension this. There are 2 basic dimension tools that I use, and it's the first 2 under the F toolbar for drawings. It's F1, F2. This is dimension element, and this is dimension linear. They have kind of the same but different functions and different ways to operate. The dimension element will dimension a single element by just left clicking on it. Dimension linear will dimension between 2 separate elements. So let's try the first one, dimension element. We're going to say style none, and it's going to go by whatever text size we're using right now. So I want to use my 0.125. We'll just change our text size to 0.125. Close this out. And now hit this again. And if I left click on this line and just pull it up, you'll see that that line length is 2.7056, which is fine. Let's look at the details on this. With this style none, we can tell it we want to dimension. This is set to 3 decimal places, or 4 decimal places. Let's set it to 2. And then we can say the text is already set to 0.125, so we'll just leave that there. The geometry, you can set the arrowheads to open or filled, whatever you want. If we do the same dimension now, going down, you'll see that it's 2.71 inches because it rounds it off for you. We can also tell it under units that we want it to show MU label, meaning it's going to show it in inches. And if I don't want to use the working units, I can say I want to show it in inches with the inch mark. And we'll say close this out. So now if I measure this line again, it shows it as 2.71 inches. You can change this on the fly too. If I wanted to show it as master unit label and show this as feet with the foot mark, and we do the same line, it'll show it at 0.23 feet. So you can adjust your dimension output to whatever you want it to be. Let's delete these for a second. Let me show you something else that's kind of cool with this tool. With the dimension tool, all the dimension tools work the same, but we can also show secondary dimensions. If I show it in feet here, maybe I want to show it in millimeters as a separate, and I want to show master unit label. So it's going to show me dimensions in feet and also in millimeters by dual dimensioning. Just left click, pull it up, shows the top in feet, the bottom in millimeters. So without changing the size of my drawing, I'm actually able to change the units for dimensioning on the fly. We'll go back here, we'll take that show secondary units off, and now we'll take a look at this tool on an arc. You'll see that it works on shapes the same way, first of all. And let's pull it back to inches with the inch mark, just a quotation. So I'm just changing this on the fly. 2.56 inches or 0.21 feet. Also, if I had this angle line, you'll notice if I want to measure that, it says 1.75, but it's straight up and down. It's not giving me a true length. If I actually change this to true, it will measure it at the angle. So you can change the alignment of your dimensions here by either true, drawing, or view. Normally it just stays on view. Same over here. If I want to measure the length of that line, change it to true, and I can measure the distance in this direction. Now, using this same tool, some of the options, if I have an arc here and I want to measure it, I don't have to change the tool. When I left click on this, watch what happens to these tools up here. Just left click, you'll see that they change from linear to radial dimensions, and this automatically picks up the fact that it is a radius, usually with partial arcs or arcs that aren't full circles. We dimension them as radius, and we can also drop this down and say I want to see the center mark. So if I place this radius on here like this, you'll see it puts a center mark and it shows the arc. If we do the same thing now with the circle, you'll see it automatically, it says it's going to radius, but I can change it to a diameter up here. Still shows the center mark, but now we can move the dimension in or out, and we can show it as 2.12 diameter, or excuse me, 2.12 diameter. Just a neat way to do it. And it does, if I put the center mark on here, again, it puts that right on there. So, and also you can use this 7-1 tool. If your text is hiding a line, you can use this to just adjust it and pull it out. Dimensions are all one element, so when you left click, it deletes the whole dimension. So you can adjust these and change them on the fly. Now the other tool that we use a lot is this F2, which is dimension linear. This is when we're having to dimension between two different objects. So if I want to find, and I'll leave this on true, the dimension between this point and this point, because they're two different elements, I left click here, and you'll notice it follows my cursor down to the point I want it to measure, let it automatically AccuSnap to it, and I can pull that dimension out. If I change this to view and do the same thing, this point to this point, we can find the vertical distance between those 2 points. But this is actually the true distance as the crow flies, so they say. So that's pretty much it. There are some other dimension. This third one is dimension angle. So if I want to find the angle between this line and this line, and I just pull this out, it tells me it's 57.2033. It's set to 4 decimal places, and we can adjust that on the fly. So that is text dimensioning. And if I want to put a fence around this, I can do a Control P to print it out. And there are my shapes. I can do a preview here to take a look at what that would look like. Of course, we can set up pen tables to set our line weight and colors, but we kind of take care of that in some other videos. So this is text dimensioning and measuring, and I would encourage you to also go in and create some text styles and dimension styles that you can save with a seed drawing file, so that your architectural, your mechanical, and your civil dimensions are already there, and all you have to do is select which one you want to use for the particular type of drawing you're using. So that's it in a nutshell. Thank you.